busy thinking of not much, as you can tell. The sounds are too beautiful. My mind's been a bit of a mess lately. Things have been moving very fast. It's been very overcrowded in my head, and the thoughts just come one after the other. And they're also emotionally charged, all competing for my attention. For my investment, my energy. And 9 times out of 10, they get it. I get invested. I get pulled in and can lose myself for a long time. There's been a lot of those voices. And sometimes I just forget to exist. To get back to base, get pulled up in your head, and it's very compelling up there. You forget to come back to the earth. I'm just trying to exist more, to remember that I don't have to be doing anything at a given moment in order for it to mean something. In order for it to feel valid in my mind, and me not to feel awkward or like I'm wasting space or like I'm wasting time, Just remembering more and more that there's a silence, there's a presence beneath the thoughts all vying for my attention, and all the stories. There's still a presence there, there's still a truth there that's just silently waiting. And it's always there. But it can feel like such a guilty thing to just immerse in it and to sit with it out in the open, Usually it's like moments that we steal for ourselves in private, a hand on the heart, a long deep breath somewhere in like a quiet cubicle or in a parking somewhere. And then we roll out into the day, we rush out into the day to assert our, I don't know, to prove that we're someone, and to try and be someone. And I'm still getting used to the simple act of just dropping into this presence and not feeling like I need to be doing something with it. I don't need to have a phone out. I don't need to be busy. I can just sit in a park, stare at the birds and the clouds for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours if I want to. I don't have to be waiting for anyone. I can just be, without having to explain it. I'm a human being, first. All the doing comes from the human being. Every single thing that you can think and feel and do and conceive of comes from the being. And sometimes maybe it's because the being just feels so something intangible. It feels not valid, as a thing that can just be a reason within itself. It doesn't need anything added on its behalf. It doesn't need anything validated on its behalf. I don't need to explain why I'm here. I don't need to validate why I'm here. Why I'm just existing. The fact that I exist is the answer. Full stop. The because, there doesn't need to be a because. I am because I am. I am because I am. And so I'm learning to just get comfortable being, just without there having to be a story that I'm attached to in a given moment in order to cling on to for meaning and for, direction in any given moment. I don't need to constantly be reacting to a story, a narrative in my mind or out in the world. It's like consciousness needing to cling onto these moving things in order for it to feel like it's alive and relevant. That it's doing something. but that presence never leaves. The being never leaves. It's always there. And I'm trying to describe the fact that it is a reality in and of itself. It is not an emptiness. It is not a void to fill with whatever our hands can reach. To be left with yourself is no disaster. To exist just because you do, why can't that be enough? Because it's from there that really all truth flows, all blessing flows. Everything worthwhile that you can contribute in this world through being in alignment within yourself comes first from an acknowledgement of the fact that you are. You pour from the well of that being enough, being an overflow. I am because I am. I don't need to be in a rush to contribute. I don't need to be in a rush to make something of it, to show for it, to earn my existence, to earn a living. I don't need to be in a rush. I can do it when it feels aligned, but it doesn't need to be conditional in that aspect of, with the threat of death, somehow I need to put it out there, because if I don't, that's somehow selfish or lazy or just immoral in some way, right? Some moral failing, some big existential failure. Like you're not doing your part. Look at nature. I'm looking at some ducks just swimming in a river, in a dam. And there's not necessarily a service. There's not necessarily, a commodity that they're producing to validate the existence. An object to show for to give thanks for just existing. They're just doing it. And there's no moral judgment on it. And everyone just has enough, and everyone's just happy. And they just do themselves all day, Just literally mind their own business. They're not in a rush to prove themselves, to prove anything. When a need arises, it is addressed. When an obstacle arises, it is navigated. But there's no pressure to pay anything for their time here. And whatever they do contribute, let's look at the duck. as they walk around and their droppings are laid, that's a contribution, right? It comes from an egg spill, and it comes from them just being ducks, not putting on a tie and all sorts of getting into all sorts of contortions and squeezing eggs out. If it feels it's ready to lay an egg, it lays an egg, and that egg is a beautiful contribution. But it comes from the duck just being the duck. And there's nothing wrong with being a duck. Like that's enough, you know? We don't say this is a duck because. We don't say, hey duck, what do you do? Duck ducks. Duck just exists, full stop. Until through Duck's own experience, walking through life, through his own adventure, his own journey, Duck interacts with something. Something arises, something grows from that. But duck is just duck. It's cool to just exist, dude. Even just for a moment, you know? And it's cool to just do it out in the open, and it's cool not to have a timer on it and to feel guilty about it. That's the one thing that's just your birthright before anything else. And this world gets in, it can tend to make you feel like a machine that needs to produce in order to pay its rent on this planet. You're a human being before all of that. Before anything you can do, you are the human being, and don't forget. And don't feel guilty, and remember that that's enough. It doesn't need to be, my name is Dumi because. It can just be, my name is Dumi. Even this video came as a result of me just being able to sit and be me, you know? And be present with that. Be present with the presence. It's just me laying an egg, if we're still talking about ducks. But it would not have come out of me trying to do something. And this feels like the most, at least for this moment, the most worthwhile thing I can contribute. Because it comes from my being. It comes from the natural, like, process of my being. To create from that place feels so much more profound. And it's a right that I have, because I have a right to exist here. No human being gave me, you know, passage on this earth, in the sense that they created me and one could say that they had the power to uncreate you, sure. But who really are we paying to exist here? Who are we paying for rent? Other human beings? Your existence is, it's a fact that no one can revoke. It is your inheritance, the full privilege, the full perimeter of being, the fact of your being. It is your birthright to just sit in what that means. And realize that it is enough. First, if nothing else. I am. And I get to be. Full stop. The rest can come later. Right now, let's just sit with that fact. Let's not rush. Let's just sit with that fact.